Dear student, in this lecture we learn VLSI technology. Myself, Dr. Hasmukh P. Koringa, working as an assistant professor at Government Engineering College, Rajkot. Let's first see what is VLSI. VLSI stands for Very Large Scale Integration is the process of creating an integrated circuit IC by combining thousands of transistors into a single chip. Right? Now let's first see why VLSI. An electronic circuit of a CPU, RAM, ROM, and other peripherals on one board. VLSI lets all this into a single chip, resulting in a following advantage. Reduce the size of circuit. So if we design a systems using a discrete IC and if we prepared a PCB or a motherboard, instead of that, if in a VLSI it replaced all the ICs into a single IC, so it reduced the size of a PCB. Another advantage of VLSI is reduce cost of the device. So instead of the PCB or a motherboard system designed using the discrete ICs, instead of that design using VLSI will reduce the cost of the overall system. Increase the operating speed of the circuit. So discrete design compared to that, if we combine into a single chip, definitely its interconnecting length, everything will be reduced and it will be improve the performance and it will increase the operating speed of the circuit. Less power consumptions. So it's obvious compared to the discrete design motherboards which have the multiple ICs, instead it can replace to a single IC, it will reduce the power consumption of overall systems. High reliability. So definitely for mechanical reliability or any electronics reliability, it will increase the reliability if instead of the PCB of the larger side, it can be replaced to a single chip. And last, it occupies less area. So its size reduced, it occupies the less area. So VLSI have the many advantages over the discrete design. Let first understand why we need a VLSI by taking one example. So let's see what is the role of VLSI for designing a systems. Let's take the example as a pen drive. As we are using our day-to-day life. Right? What is inside in pen drive? So inside in pen drive, it is nothing but a memory chip. So how to be designed a memory chip? Right? So we know very well the 1-bit memory, it can design using a D flip-flops. Here we can see the D flip-flops implemented using the 2 input NAND gates and 1 NOT gates. Right? So to implement a 1-bit storage device, it can be stored using the 1 D flip-flops, and each D flip-flops require the 4 2 input NAND gates. Right? And if we combine such 1-bit flip-flops, and here we can see it's have the, if we combine such 1-bit flip-flop, it will be nothing but the 4-bit register. And if we stack such 4-bit registers, and it will be nothing but the memory. Right? So let's calculate the numbers of D flip-flops required to design a 1 gigabyte memory. It is the normal nowadays the memory size available in a pen drive. 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, nowadays it's available in up to the 256 gigabytes of memory in a pen drive. It is normal. So let we calculate how many 7400 NAND gates IC required to implement a 1 gigabytes of memory. So we know very well 8 bit is equal to 1 byte, and if we combine such 1024 bytes, it will make the 1 kilobytes, and such 1024 kilobytes, it is nothing but the equal to 1 megabytes, and 1024 megabytes is nothing but the equal to the 1 gigabytes. So in a 1 gigabytes, how many bits required? So it requires suitable arrangement of flip-flops such that it will be design our suitable memories. So I can say it is, let's calculate the number of NAND gates required. A number of NAND gate IC 7400, and we know inside the 7400 it's have a 4 2 input NAND gates. So let me calculate to implement a 1 gigabyte memory, to design a 1 gigabyte memory, how many such 7400 IC we require, right? So we know 1 byte is equal to 8 bit, and such we combine the 8 such byte, it will nothing but the 1024 bytes is equal to 1 kilobyte, and multiply by 1024 kilobyte is 1 megabyte, and if you multiply 1024 megabytes is equal to 1 gigabytes. So here we can see the number 858993458, that many, it is around the 10 raised to 10, it is around a 10 raised to 10 or 8.5 multiply 10 raised to 9 NAND gates IC 7400 required to be implement a 1 gigabyte memory. So I can say it is an almost impossible task to implement even a simple 1 gigabyte memory using a discrete NAND gate ICs. So here, friends, you can easily understand what is the need of an VLSI, why we have to be design a IC which have the more than 1 lakh of transistor in a single chip. Let's first see different integrated ICs, right? World of integrated circuits. So IC can categorize the main three parts of IC available. One is the full custom ICs, full custom ASICs, semi-custom ASICs, and the user programmable IC. So full custom ASIC means it is a fully customized as per the customer specifications. So it is application specific integrated circuit, and it is normally designed for the widely used component which have the required the manufacturing in a mass, like a memory chip, DRAM memory chip, which we are using a mass production. We require 741 IC, which in mass production is required 74 series, all the IC. So all the IC designed using a full custom ASICs, and in full custom ASICs it's have it is very wide, it is time consuming the process, and it give the better performance compared to all IC technology, because it is a totally designed as per the user specifications. Another IC type is a semi-custom ASICs. In a semi-custom ASICs, to reduce time to market, right, design time, to reduce the design time, some of component are already developed in a library, and so when we as per the when we'll have any project from the customer specification, it use the ready-made developed the component to design the IC. So it reduce the some of design time to market, right? And we have a two semi-custom ASIC types. One is standard cell-based ASIC, and another is the gate array-based ASIC. Last one is the user programmable IC. So in a user programmable IC, the hardware is ready. The IC in a hardware form is ready, so not need to do any fabrication step in a fabs labs. So it is hardware is already ready, just we have to program it. So some software part is pending, and the software part is as per the user specification. We have to write the program, and that program is download on that user programmable IC. Then after the user programmable IC will work as per the specification of the customer, as per the our program, right? It is like a pen drive. It is like a pen drive. When we purchase it, available in blank, and then after whatever we want to store in pen drive, we'll write the data inside the pen drive, and it's have the reconfigurability, so we can use it multiple times. So same way in a user programmable IC are the reconfigurable ICs to implement our design, right? We can implement them multiple times. We can reconfigure its design. So hardware is almost ready, armade is ready, just we have to program it. So it's have the time to market is very less compared to the semi-customs and full customs, but the performance wise it is very low performance compared to full custom and the semi-customs. So let's see what are the different types of user programmable IC available. So mainly two types. One is the CPLD, which is the complex programmable logic device, which is non-volatile in nature, and it implement the function using the programming the switches, right? And another type is the field programmable gate array. So field programmable gate array, it's have a LUT based implementation. So logic block in a field programmable gate array are the LUT, have the SRAM blocks. So it is in volatile in a nature. So CPLD or PLDs have that it can implement using the two PLDs technology or two PLD types. One is the programmable array logic, in which only the end plane is programmable and OR planes is fixed. And another type is programmable logic array. And in programmable logic array, both the plane, end plane as well as the OR plane, both the planes are programmable. So it required the more number of programming switch, right? So it can use to up to some complexity or more complex functions. It increase the number of programming switch, and as we know, the programming switch is nothing but one of the MOSFET or a hardware. It's required some hardware to implement the programming electronic switch, and each electronic switch will take the more silicon area compared to the fixed device, as well as it dissipate the more power. So it has some limitations. We can implement the function up to some complexity using the PLA, because both the plane, end plane as well as the OR plane, are the programmable. Another is a PAL, in which only the end plane is programmable. So up to some more complex functionality we can implement using the PAL block, right? And if we combine such PAL block, it will nothing but the CPLD, complex programmable logic device. Another is a field programmable gate array. So it's also have the LUT based, MUX based and gate based. There are three types it's available. So these are the different IC it's available in a VLSI. For the prototyping and to the system in which we want the less time to market design time cycle, then we have to go with user programmable ICs we have to use, and directly we have to load our design using the program onto the user programmable ICs. And another is a semi-customs and full custom as per the requirements. Let's see what is a VLSI design flow. It is very much important to understand the VLSI design flow, right? It is so complex, more than 1 lakh of transistors have to be accommodated on a single chip. So it is a very complex design process, right? So it's we have to follow the VLSI design flow. So it start with the system specifications. So system specification is whatever the customer requirement. It is system specification. So first step is to convert a system specification into the architectural design, means into the block diagram. We have to divide the specification into the different block to minimize the complexity, and we have to divide architectural design such a way that we can design each block individually and independently with the other blocks. So systems divided into the blocks or architectural design. Then architectural design, each block it implement using the functional design and the logic design. So each block it converted into the inputs and outputs, how it relate, the what is the relation we require. So according that we have to be designed a functional design or a functional, and then functional design implement using the logic designs. At the next step is to convert that logic design that implemented using the different logic design, it converted into circuit design. So logic design and or not gates like that, it converted into the circuit design. In circuit design means it's all the gates inside that in nothing but the it implemented using the different logic families. So if you are using the CMOS family, then we have to convert that each and an OR gate, how it can be implemented using the NMOS and PMOS, CMOS not a gate, right? So it is a circuit design. Once the circuit design is ready, next step is to the design a physical design. So we have to convert that circuit into the layout, physical, how the different layers will make the MOSFETs, and then connecting such MOSFET how will make the circuit. So this circuit design it converted into the layout design, or also called a physical design. Once the physical design is ready, once the layout is ready, again we need to be verified it's our design, right? So in a VLSI design flow at a multiple level, we need to be verified our design. So after the physical design, whatever we are doing the verification, it is called a post layout verifications. Our layout is ready. Now we are verifying the layout, giving us the same performance as we want as per the specifications. So we need to be verified our layout. So physical verification and sign off process will perform. So in that verification also we need to be checked DRC, design rule checker, right? In this design we are going to implement using some technology. So it is as per this technology, some minimum space between the two layers and minimum space between the two pins. So whatever the requirement that has to be checked in a DRC, it is called a design rule checker. Then we have to check the layout versus simulations. So first functional verification we have to do at the functional designing step, third step in a VLSI design. At that time we are verifying our simulations, it is giving the our functional design, and we are verifying if it is giving as per the system specification or not. And after the layout, again we are verifying our design and we are checking it is giving as per the same functionality as simulation as we have simulated at a functional design. So it is called a layout versus simulations. Then the ERC checks and we have to do the sign off. Then once everything is completed, then we have to send it for the fabrication. So rest of task is to perform at the fabrications lab. So sign up process, we have to provide a GDF2 file to the fabrication labs, and in that, as per the GDF2 file, the fabrication labs will fabricate the ICs. So after the fabrications in a wafer, it will go for the packaging and the testing. So this testing, it is called after the fabrications testing, it is a physical testings, right? And that then after our chip will be ready. So to make the IC, it's have the different design steps, and in a different design step, different uh, tools, CAD tools are used. Let's see if you want in a functional and logic design, right? So how to convert the architecture design into the logic design? We can convert through the Verilog or a VHDL hardware description language. So we have to write the architecture design into the language. It is a Verilog hardware description language, or we can use a VHDL hardware description language, right? So it convert the architecture into the program. Then after the CAD tool itself will convert that our logic into the circuit, and it is synthesized and it convert into the layout. At the layout again, after the layout again, we have to be verified layout giving the output as per our specification or not. So it is a post layout simulation, as well as also we have to do the simulations or the verification at the logic design. It is called a pre-layout simulations, right, or a verifications. So VHDL or a Verilog will perform it will perform at the functional and the logic designs. Hope you have liked this video and you have learned something new from this video, right? Thank you for watching a video.